Oh, and we're live. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Today, I'm excited to welcome Jia Li, the founder of PhyziX, onto our podcast today. And we have titled it Beyond the Clinic, PT, and Networking and Growth. So, Jay, as you know, we like to start by asking about any events you've gone to recently. Was there one that stuck out that you really enjoyed, and what was so special about it?
Right, so I think this one is sort of a cop out because it was my own event.
No, that's not a cop out at all.
Okay, all right.
Totally allowed.
So we had a Lunar New Year event back in February, and it was to celebrate the year of the snake and also the rebrand at the same time. And we had, I think, over 80 something people there that showed up. We had a lion dance, and yeah, that was a great time. A lot of people showed up, and we get to meet a lot of different brands from different industries and show them what we do. And yeah, I thought that was great. And we had some connections with people that we still kept up with today.
That's awesome. Sorry, I thought Jeff was going to ask.
No, I was just going to jump in with our typical second question of people is, so tell us a little bit about PhyziX.
All right, so PhyziX, we're a holistic physical therapy practice out in Needham, Massachusetts, and it all started as a journey to help my mother overcome chronic back pain. And when I was able to help her do that, I realized the method that I used to help her was able to help a lot of other people similar in her situation. And that led me to start an online company, which was called PhyziX. And I help people from all different parts of the world, like New South Wales, New Zealand, to West Virginia, help them resolve chronic back issues virtually. And then after that, I decided that we want to start a team of other physical therapists who can serve the same tasks and touch more people in a more local manner. And then back in late 2022 is when we started PhyziX PT out in Needham, Massachusetts.
Cool. Awesome. Well, why don't we dive in? And we, as you know, this show is all about networking. And so we often like to ask people, how did you get started networking?
So funny enough, I didn't really do anything with networking for the first couple of years until I started brick and mortar practice. And that's when I realized just how powerful networking really is. Because back then, when I was doing everything online, what I did was I posted things on TikTok. I get customers that way, and then I do DMs, which is sort of like networking, but you're networking from like a wide grasp of people, right? And I didn't have like a lot of followers. I'm not one of those influencers with hundreds and thousands of followers. I have a couple thousand on Instagram, and every person that connects with me, I would DM them and I would say, "Hey, what's going on? Thanks for following." Like, what got you interested in the page? And then we have this conversation that organically grew into a call. And then that call, I tell them about what I do, and then they turn into a client. So networking sort of started on the online platform when we first started. And then when we went to brick and mortar, the networking is more like, hey, who's next to us? Who can we find that might be interested in what we do? And then I joined a chamber of commerce, and that's where I met a lot of the people. And then I sort of just went into other people's like facilities, like, there's a place called Human Powered Health. I go there and I get some exams done. I go to like a spa. And from there, I just talk to a bunch of people, and eventually those connections form. And, I start a little podcast similar to you guys to bring some other people on, showcase what they're doing. And I think networking had been pivotal in what we do. And I would say at this point, since we've grown to have two full-time therapists and a manager, my full-time job had kind of shifted away from treating, but more into just networking now. So I'll say extremely valuable.
Yeah. So I guess if you think through, I was just going to say, if you think through for your current, patients, customers, however you want to call them, what would you say is coming from networking versus just they found out about you elsewhere type of thing? Like, where are your customers coming from?
I mean, word of mouth is always going to be big for any kind of people in the service industry, right? You have a good product, you do well, and this person wants to tell other people, and then it snowballs. But after you have two clinicians on staff and you need to fill their schedule, but we need a little more than just the word of mouth, right? So I think 80% of our business is really from networking and connecting with people. Like, we'll invite owners of, Pilates places. We'll invite owners of people who own like personal training studios, and we bring them over to our space, show them what we do, and form that connection in the hopes of, hey, if one day some of their clients get hurt and they are they're sort of a difficult case, and they'll bring them over to us, and we get clients that way. So yeah.
And one other quick question: what do the demographics of your customers look like broadly?
So broadly, I think health conscious individuals, someone in their 30s up to their 80s, people who have tried traditional physical therapy, have not really seen the type of results that they're looking for, and they're looking for something just a little bit more high class, a bit more concierge, and having the ability of our therapists to really think outside the box and find a solution for them. Those are the type of people that we really attract. Active people, actually.
Yep.
Who are also, they want to do more with their body, but haven't really found a therapist who's able to kind of meet them where they are.
Okay, cool.
I liked there's 2 points that you brought up that I found very interesting. One of which I know you mentioned Instagram is a great platform for you and doing a lot more online. I think we talk about it sometimes, but the networking, I think traditionally people think in person, coffees, lunches, or networking events. I know you mentioned the Chamber of Commerce, but networking online is just as important. I mean, Jeff always says that he held himself to a standard of reaching out to someone and messaging them to then connect. But the power of social media, I'm a big LinkedIn person myself. We all are social media, Instagram, but that's a great way to connect. And I'm sure with your business, being able to see posts, see examples, helps formulate trust in a relationship. Where do you go from there, from meeting someone online, and then do you eventually invite them in, have them try, out your service and form a relationship that way? Or what does that life cycle typically look like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think in this day and age, reaching out to someone through the social media actually builds more trust than reaching them through a cold email. Because when you reach them through social media, they check out your page, they see your content, they see your personality before they even think, all right, is this guy weird? Like, do I even want to talk to this guy? And they have that option after seeing everything, and then they respond. And from that conversation, naturally, it might just be like, hey, man, I like what you do. You like what I do. Why don't we get together and, why don't we exchange services or something like that? So that's how we organically bring that online conversation into a real life activation. And then from there, we can partner up on different projects, or maybe even form a podcast that we can have more in-depth conversation. And funny enough, I just came out of a podcast at the studio right now, drove home, and then
busy today. Wow.
Well, thank you for joining us. One of the things I'm hearing is community, which is building an online community to drive business, and then transferring that from, you were only online. So you built this really cool online community. Then you opened a brick and mortar. So you needed to create a more in-person community. And I'm curious, have you been able to kind of bridge that gap almost of bringing that online community into a in-person community at all?
Yes, so absolutely. One thing we want people to do is that we want people to follow us online when they communicate with us in person. Like, for example, like Amelia, we spoke online. We met online. We met like through an introduction, through Rachel. We talked, and then we follow each other online, and then we think we had some side conversations online.
Yeah, because we went to the same high school.
Yeah, exactly. So
years apart, but yes.
Right. So by the time we come back here, now you might know a little bit more about me already that you otherwise would not, because of this interaction. So I would say, like, our clients that we work with, we love to be able to talk to them like outside of the clinic, online, so they can see sort of the behind the scenes of what's going on or what we're doing, and that puts them in a place where they feel like they're more involved in our business. It's like, hey, look, I see them for physical therapy. They're helping me with this back thing. They're doing great. But hey, they're also like fun. They're also doing these other events, and I would love to be part of this community. So yeah, and then we do like a video day, and they'll be like, you know what, I would want to participate because I want to be part of this thing that they're doing.
Absolutely, and I think bringing in Rachel as well. So for listeners who have been following us, Rachel Lee from Ice Bath her practice is in Jay's facility, and that's how we all got looped into the same circle. So power of networking right there in itself. And I've loved how you're able to bring even other small businesses into your space to strengthen that community even more.
Yeah, absolutely. And for Rachel is sort of, we have this one room in the back. I call it a gator room. I put some alligator skin wallpaper on it. And we don't know what to do with it. We just decorated it. We just made it look nice. And people say, you should bring in a massage therapist, an acupuncturist. And we said no to all these people because I knew I wanted someone in the breathwork space because it needs to complement all the stuff that we're already doing. Because we have this nervous system based approach when it comes to treating injuries. And we have the space design in a way through interior designers, through feng shui consultants, to make sure that the space is conducive to tranquility for the person to step in. And I was like, I need a breathwork coach. I don't know where I'm going to find one. And my roommate from San Diego texted me one day and said, hey, there's this breathwork coach doing something in Cambridge. You should go. I went there, saw her, and then I said, hey, you want to collab for this one event I'm hosting? I did it. And after a course of like 6 months, 8 months, she goes, I need a home. And then there she is.
Right.
And she found it. And it was a perfect match. So it's been great.
So you've mentioned a couple of times now, Jay, the events. And I think I saw a number of images on your Instagram, of events that you've done and whatever. Can you talk a little bit about how does that play into growing your business and how do you go about creating those opportunities?
Right. So events are tough. I mean, the amount of work it takes to get someone to leave their house is incredible.
It's so true.
It is a lot of work. So when we host events, we want to make sure we have a good marketing strategy in place. We used to do like a foot posture workshop that we do, a posture and foot analysis workshop. And what it is me presenting for like an hour and 15 minutes about the philosophy that we use, how we use it to create changes for people who have not found results through traditional physical therapy, and lead them through examples of exercises that we would use. The whole point of that is to create enough curiosity and give people this light bulb moment and say, hey, look, I've known that the whole body's interconnected, but I never had someone explain to me exactly how this occurs. And this all makes perfect sense. Now, the next logical step is if I'm hurt and I have this injury and I fit this description, I think at this point, I would sign up for like a discounted offer. So that's how we run it. And for us to run that well, we will blast a bunch of emails, we do a lot of social media, and it was a lot of work just to get maybe 10 people through the door.
Yeah. Absolutely. I find that even with online events, I find the same thing. It's very hard to get people to commit their time. And so it's almost like there are two costs to everything, right? There's the dollar cost and the time cost. And so it's fascinating, this how you motivate people is to show up is a fascinating question for me.
Yeah. I mean, the motivation, it really has to come from an emotional side, right? It's like, hey, when you leave this class, you are going to feel this type of way. So it's not like you're going to learn this, you learn that. No one wants to learn, but everyone wants to feel better, right? So when we do our marketing, we always want to make sure that we hit these emotional triggers for people. Like when we did marketing for the Lunar New Year event, like some of our marketing on social media was like, oh, this person didn't come to this event. Now he had 5 years of bad luck. And it's so funny because we had like 4 people sign up afterwards. It's like, well, I don't want bad luck. But it's like, it's almost illogical, but like you're hitting them at a place where it's like subliminally, they're like, okay, I'm a little bit superstitious. I should probably come to this event. Right. It was cool. And it was just that little thing that pushed them over the edge.
I'm going to use that for future events. I love it.
Yeah.
If you don't drink wine, there's bad luck. Well, but I think it's really interesting what you're talking about. This idea of it's in sales, there's a lot of talk about like you have to get at a pain point, but it really, I think you're absolutely right. It has to be a really, truly sort of emotional pain point. I mean, I'd say the same thing you said about like nobody wants to learn how to make their back feel better or whatever it is. They want it to feel better, right? And so it's the same way. Like nobody wants marketing. They want sales, right? Like that's in my world, but it's like, how do you tap into the thing that they really truly want and say, this is how I'm going to deliver it? So I think, I like your point of like, it's not just the thing that I'm selling you. It's the feeling, the experience, the relief of stress or pain or whatever it is that I'm causing, that really ultimately is what people are looking for.
Yeah.
I think we have the opportunity, because we've never actually talked about events on this podcast. We talk about networking, how to network, but we haven't actually had a conversation about how to plan an event, how to get people to an event, and what makes a successful event. So I'd love for you to dive into that. Just like, where do people start?
Right. Well, to be honest, I started to host events because I really didn't like going to marketing events.
There.
Like,
sorry, Jeff.
Okay.
Is like, sometimes I go in and it's like, sometimes it's great, not every marketing networking event is the same. But like, once I get in, it's like, I'm a little awkward. Like, how do I talk to these people?
Right.
And it's like, there's always this awkward tension in the beginning. And sometimes you just don't feel good after an event, or sometimes you feel terrific and you network with a bunch of people. So
Right.
my thing is, well, if I bring everyone here, well, I'm the star of the show. I'm the host, so I have a much easier way to talk to everybody, and I can connect the dots for everyone else. So for me, I think creating an event, there has to be something very tangible, so something someone will get out of the event. Like, for me, it's very easy. You come to this event, you're gonna get X, Y, Z. Like, when we hosted the Lunar New Year event, we can have we have line dancers there that's gonna bring in all the good luck. We're gonna have matcha on the spot, where we're making like on the spot matcha for you. We're gonna have sushi there from like Fuji, so high quality stuff.
Yeah.
We're gonna have different vendors there that's doing different like demonstrations of really cool products for health and wellness. And we're going to be there giving away like a free foot analysis for those of you interested in understanding how your feet places on this little force plate that we have and how that translates up the body. So it's getting all of these benefits from there. And we're really just trying to keep adding on value to the point where it sounds like I'll be stupid not to show up. And we're only going to have this many tickets. And once it's sold out, we can't have any more people. And then we have like a professional video. That video records the entire event, so that way next year we use that video to highlight it. So it's a lot of work that goes into it.
Right.
Well, sushi, matcha, and health and wellness, I'm sold. I'm at the next one. Do that again. I am completely bought in.
Those are necessary. Having food and like that is almost like the focal point. That's what I tell people. It's like, hey, look, we're gonna focus the marketing on like the matcha and the sushi and the lion dance. Like, what we do is like, that's just talk about it, but don't scream it.
Right.
Like, scream things.
But it gets people there, and then they get to meet you. They get to see the space. They get to try it, and I'm sure that's the sell. That's the buy-in. You have to get people there, which you just mentioned this. A lot goes into just getting the folks there. But once they're there, I'm sure the conversion rate is high, and then you're able to actually meet in person, start building trust by showing them what you do, show them a good time, network. And then I'm sure it's just a cycle from there on referrals, once they have that first experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if you had to guess how important are the events in sort of driving your business in the long run versus say just referrals versus cold outreach versus whatever? What's most important?
Right. As far as immediate ROIs, is not going to be the events. I'm going to say that this is like a long-term play. Like, we see ourselves as a lifestyle therapy business that happens to have physical therapy that falls underneath the umbrella. So we want to go with a bigger vision. Like, eventually we want to be able to do like retreats and things like that, large scale wellness type, community type events. So creating these type of events where we bring a lot of people together is a way for us to build the brand, build community, showcase who we are. But as far as the ROI, I mean, the word of mouth, the like small workshops that we do where we showcase what we do, talking events where we get to literally sell on the spot.
Yep.
Those are really the ones that's going to bring in that immediate ROI. Networking with one-on-ones with trainers or Pilates instructors, those are going to be one ROI. But large scale events like the Lunar New Year event, I don't think that's a huge ROI. But small workshop events, though, they can be really great.
Do you find? Oh, go ahead, Taylor. Go ahead.
I was just wanted to highlight a little bit something that you said, that you're talking about partnerships a lot, hosting some events together. I'm a big believer in partnerships, and that a lot can come from that. Having the trust and relationship with another business is just as impactful than directly to a client. Are you also, and I know you mentioned you did previously, but do you typically host a lot of partnership type events, or what kind of outings you typically do with, say a Rachel or someone similar in that line of work?
Yeah, so the partnership events usually will go, it's just a la carte, right? Everyone may have their own form of partnership events that they want to host. Like we hosted one with Fly Together Fitness. They're a pole dance studio out in Watertown. And we went over there and we gave a presentation on how to take care of your shoulder health through using our unique philosophy, and we presented on that. So that becomes a partnership. And with that partnership, our clients, when they want to try pole, they have a discount for their one-on-one services or two-on-one services. And when they want to become clients of ours, they get a little bit of a discount too. So that's how we create like a win-win situation when it comes to these type of partnerships. And we try to form as many of those as we can within the companies and businesses that make sense. Like we don't want to be random and just have everyone be it. It's got to be on brand with what we're doing.
Makes sense. I was going to ask you, so it's interesting. I was doing physical therapy for a shoulder problem last year, and it was interesting that I was talking to the physical therapist, and there wasn't a lot of networking going on. Do you find that? I guess sort of a two-part question. One is do you think that networking for physical therapy is sort of like, are there sort of unique elements of that? And then the other that sort of different than other types of businesses. And then do you find that other folks sort of in the field are, in your field are actually doing the kind of networking you're doing, or are you sort of unusual or unique in terms of the amount of stuff that you do?
I do think we're unique, and I think it's more necessary for us in other clinics. So first of all, we're out of network, so we don't take insurance. So if you want to work with us, you pay out of pocket. So that already is a big difference and a barrier for a lot of people. So other than that, it's like, okay, well, now we need to let people know how we're actually different from a traditional practice and what we offer. And for us to illustrate that, we have to be a little bit creative with the content that we create, with the events that we create. So for us, it's absolutely necessary that we have to network. But for other in-network practices, they might have relationships with hospitals, with doctors, and they just refer people over to them. But you do have to deal with insurance, and then there's this whole other animal that they're dealing with. And I won't get into logistics of what that difference means as far as profitability and what that means for the future growth of the happiness of employees and all that.
Right.
But I'd say things aren't trending in the right direction for insurance-based practices. But they are still existing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, we are, as usual, flying by. So we're really enjoying this conversation, but we obviously all have lives to get back to. So before we get back to our lives, we'll start with you, Jay. What is one cool event that you've got coming up, either for your own practice or that you're going to?
I just came back from the Boston Convention Center for this running expo. So I just got out of it yesterday. So maybe that's an answer.
All right.
As far as in the future, we have a bunch of different workshops set up with other gyms like Equinox, HealthWorks, other independent personal trainers. So we're looking forward to those type of events. And Rachel and I were planning to. Actually, no. There's just one thing that we're doing in March. Was it May? It was around. It's around Mother's Day. We didn't do a partnership with Sweat House over in Chestnut Hill. We're gonna have this big event that we're hosting there.
That's gonna be fun.
Cool.
It's awesome.
Please send us the link to that. I want to.
Yeah. If we do a good enough job, we would be marketing it well enough that you guys should know. But if you guys don't know, that tells me that we haven't done a good enough job.
Well,
Also, convention center. There's a lot there. I went to one a couple weeks ago, and those are some big events. Lots of talking. Social battery might be dead afterwards, but it's a lot of good face time with folks.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Who wants to dive in next?
I can go next. I have a handful of in-person coffees and lunches, but on Thursday for one of the events I'm looking forward to, because it's been a minute for a luncheon. Crew Women in Commercial Real Estate has a luncheon where we're having the CEO of the MBTA come and join and talk about future plans, projections, trends. So I usually make a post afterwards on some big takeaways, but it's always nice. They're one of the larger events, so it's 300 to 500 folks in one room. So it's loud and it's a lot, but it's nice to see faces you don't always see at the smaller events.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Steven?
Yeah, I think so. FEI, so the Finance Executives, is having an event tomorrow night. I don't know if I'll see any of you folks there. Yeah, I figured. So that's tomorrow at the UMass Club, and then on Wednesday actually is a wine blending session that I'm hosting with Sentinel Group, and then also the American Lawyers Association. So blending with about 20 lawyers, that should be a lot of fun. Before heading to France on Thursday to do a lot of network and food consumption.
Awesome.
And maybe a little wine as well.
Amelia, you want to jump in?
Yeah, so I'll be at the FEI event tomorrow. I'm excited. It's a fireside chat with Carla McCall, who is the head of AAF CPAs. So it'll be nice to get an update on the tax CPA world and everything accounting and bookkeeping. So that's my world. And then for a little bit of a lighter event on Thursday, I will be going to the Excel Greentown event. So they are launching their new 3-year cohort. So there'll be, I think, 10 new startups that they'll be investing in and going through this program. So I'm excited to get to know some of the new people in that program and see where they go. As everyone knows, I'm a startup nerd, so I love listening and meeting people in the startup community. So both of those I'm really excited about.
Awesome. And then I guess I'll finish us up to say kind of a slow networking week for me. The one networking event that I am going to this week, though, is a couple of folks that went to the business school I went to, which is the Simon School of Business from the University of Rochester, have created sort of a monthly first Thursday event every month where we all get together. We are meeting this time around at the Vermilion Club, which, if anybody knows that's the one with the weird giant pink bear on the window. So, but anyway, so that is my event for this week. It's a fun group, and it's always great to see them and to see who else comes and who new comes each time. So. That's what I got. Well, Jay, it's been awesome to have you on. Thank you for your insights. We really appreciate it. And I think with that, we'll sign off. Till next time.
Thank you. See everyone next week. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.